You're listening to Winnipeg's Classic 107. My name is Simon Rusnak. After back-to-back Beethoven in March, conductor Daniel Raiskin boarded a plane and returned home to Amsterdam for what was supposed to be 4 days. And I think we all know what happened next. 4 days turned into 4 weeks, turned into 4 months. And now, after 8 months away, the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra's music director is back. Maestro, I'm sure I'm not the first to say it, but let me be the latest to say it. Welcome back to Winnipeg.
Thank you so much, Simon. And I can tell you that I have again a complete proof of that all good things are three, because I actually managed to arrive in Winnipeg now on my third attempt. I was planning to do so in August, then in September, and now finally I was able to come beginning of November. Yes, you know, it's an old joke about if you want to make God laugh, tell him about your plans. And this is exactly what happened to all us. I'm taking any long-term or even mid-term plans with a grain of salt these days, because things can change on a 12-hour cycle. And but I'm really happy that even in these very, very difficult times when Manitoba and Winnipeg are in code red restrictions, it seems to be the worst time to be here. But maybe it's actually the best time, because I'm out of my mandatory quarantine, and I'm really happy I'm just physically being here a few kilometers, a few hundred meters away from my musicians, from my staff, our administration, makes it already a much more reconnected, gives much more reconnected feeling. And I'm sure we'll find meaningful ways for my visit here to last another 3 weeks now. And yeah.
So before we get to that aspect of it, I mean, I do want to touch on the fact, like all visitors, required to self-monitor, self-isolate for 14 days since you arrived back in Canada. That's just finishing up now. When we spoke back in April, when all of this started and we realized you weren't going to be here for a while, one thing that stuck with me was that you'd mentioned, as you were home, unusual for you to say the least, you were feeling this need to reconnect yourself with your instrument. But what was interesting about that is that your instrument was here in Winnipeg. I'm curious, over the quarantine, did you and your viola, did you reacquaint yourselves over the quarantine?
Absolutely, quite a bit. But this time I prepared a bit better. I took some viola music with me, and was playing a little bit, not too much, because I have neighbors, and I want to be considerate, but I have a mute, and it was great to have my own instrument, not the one the friend has lent me in Amsterdam. And but you remember one of the things we talked about was also that the most difficult thing about this whole thing we're going through is little by little the lack of identity as a musician. You have to come through, especially if you're a conductor and you're not able to connect with the musicians. So for me, being able to play and to make music, to produce sounds, and knowing my own instrument was a great thing to do. So I'm happy I didn't have to schlep it with me, back from Amsterdam, and it just was here.
Yeah, what a bit of a gift. And now, emerging from that 14-day quarantine, as you mentioned, we're continuing to see COVID-19 numbers surge here in the province. And after a successful start to the season, the WSO shows have most recently been canceled. You've traveled all of this way. I'm curious, what's in the works? Where do you get started now that you're back in Winnipeg, no longer with that 7-hour time difference between Winnipeg and Amsterdam?
Well, first of all, that already solves a bit of problems, because if you want to connect to people and you all then have to watch, is it still middle of the night in Winnipeg, or is it already middle of the night in Europe? So now it's much more simple equation. If I want to call someone, we're in the same time zone. And actually, I was using this time for, while being at home, for reaching out to quite a few people who were incredibly supportive and gracious to really be with us and support us in so meaningful ways during this difficult months. Lots of wonderful friends and donors and sponsors, and people we kind of know are going to be there for us, but it's very important that we don't take it for granted. And I use this opportunity to call as many as I can to really tell them how much we appreciate it and personally thank them for that. And also, because while I was here already, the province and the city turned to code red, that affected our plans immediately with the pops concerts that we have rescheduled now. And but we are still hopeful that we will be able to do some meaningful work also musically together, again scaled back to the minimum amount of musicians on stage. But there's so much great music even for small orchestras, small ensembles, that I would be able to lead. So I really hope that, even so, we most probably won't be able to have any live audience in the concert hall through November and maybe even beginning of December. We would be able to do something with online streaming, some really good music coming to our community from the musicians of Winnipeg Symphony. And for me to reconnect with our organization, it's really very important at this point.
And we've seen a lot of those online concerts. And the thing that I really need to commend the WSO on is the quality of the audio. I mean, I've checked out a number of them already. And I mean, I'm already thinking to the successful gala concert that you hosted back at the end of October, some Bubbles and Beethoven, and what an event that was. And so I'm excited to hear and encouraged to hear that there might just be some online concerts in the works for us here in Winnipeg, if you can take the podium once again.
Yeah, and if one thing we learned is that we really try to use the current crisis to, in a way, do things that we were not doing before, not actively pursuing before. And one of the things we managed to do with very modest means is actually to offer a very high quality sound and even a video insight into what it is to be on stage, and to see the way the conductor and the orchestra interacts, to see the soloist who is playing in the orchestra a solo line really close and not from afar. In a large concert hall, it just becomes one kind of big blurred picture. But if you have a beautiful oboe solo and you really can zoom in to the oboist or a soloist, like was at the opening concert with Gwen Herbig playing Bach, and you suddenly feel much more interacted, or even see Julian's face or conductor's face.
The conductor cam, yes, my favorite.
Yeah, conductor. That's great. And the second concert he did with a mask, and we all kind of missed his mimic, but that's the way it is now. So I think that's a great thing that ended our equation as organization, performing arts organization, that we have this technology now, and we are able to share it, and we are able to stay connected. And of course, there's a lot of offering online, all kind of concerts, but it's still Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra. It's our orchestra. It's the orchestra of the city and the province. So it's a different way to connect to a recording archive of Berlin Philharmonic, Toronto, or New York Philharmonic. If you have your own orchestra and you can enjoy a world-class performance from your own band and still support its existence now and ensure its future existence, I think that's the best kind of cause.
The last thing I want to ask you is, I'm sure the orchestra members have reached out, you're reconnecting and looking forward to the possibility of rehearsing together and again, maybe performing. But now that you're back in Winnipeg, is there anything you need to do in your time here? Is there anything you need to eat or something you need to see? Is there anything where you think, well, I'm in Winnipeg, I've got to do this, apart from the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra?
When we talk about the food, I must immediately thank a few people who were incredibly supportive and gracious by offering their help during the time I had to be in quarantine, by helping with groceries, and now and then checking if I needed something. I have a wonderful assistant conductor, Naomi Wu, and we took the assistants to a different level. So she really helped me with groceries. And I have an associate conductor, Julian Pelicano, who's a wonderful person, a great musician, but also helped me with groceries here and there. And some other friends who, like Yuri Klaas, music director of
Winnipeg Singers,
Winnipeg Choir, Winnipeg Singers, and the Winnipeg Philharmonic choir who emptied the shelves of the Russian store Dobro Market, you know, and
On Main
rushed
Street, yeah.
to me with some pickles and sour cabbage and whatever. So, you know, it's wonderful to be surrounded by friends. And one of the things I had to do yesterday was to go on a nice and long walk along the waterfront and to the forks. Everything is completely deserted. It's all, you know, it's all there for you. And I was really happy to have a long walk around the Museum of Human Rights and you know, just buy some fresh bread at the forks. No one there, you know,
Yeah.
tall grass. But one thing I'm really looking forward is really, no matter how small the group of musicians I can lead, is really get together and make music. This is the best connecting medium. You know, it's to be a conductor, you need people you can share your passion with and suggest the ways and directions you want to lead them to, and to enable this, to create the magic of a live concert atmosphere experience. You also need an audience, but if you don't have that, at least you have the live performing band, because this is where it all comes down to, that you can do things together. And if anything, I'm really looking forward to that. But also, you know, going to an office and seeing people who we have all these great plans, and yeah, this it's really the actual reconnection going on.
Well, we're just so thrilled to have you here. And so, Maestro, hoping that you and the orchestra can make music together while you're back here in Winnipeg, and looking forward to seeing what's next. Welcome back to Winnipeg.
We definitely will. We definitely will. Yes, I'm looking very much forward to it. And you know, if I am so well taken care of by people around my orchestra, I forgot to mention Gwen Herbeck and her husband David Moros, who brought me some exquisite food also home, and a wonderful flowers. If I can, you know, get such great care from these people on human level, imagine how great the music making is when we're together again. And this is what I'm really much looking forward to just give back and get back this wonderful sense of passion and love for what we are, being a musician.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, it's been great connecting with you, and looking forward to seeing what's next.